Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad to hear this morning. Great way to start the week, our final week before Christmas, and we have all kind of guests and all kind of cool things going on. But first, let's take a look at our weather brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, Drew Pollard and hardworking crew. We're looking up there at today a high of only 60, a low of 45. And our water temperature ended the period down to 67 degrees, and we're going to start seeing it dropping now with all this cold weather coming in. It's going to be dropping probably next couple of weeks if we get on down there. Now, we always like to do on Monday, instead of our river readings, we like to do the Monday moon phase. And the moon right now, today or tomorrow, is going to be at its first quarter of the new moon, and it's going to be start waxing up, and we'll get right on through the rest of December and get to about a half moon next week. So stay in touch with that moon, know what's going on. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. We're looking at a low tide this morning at 10:12 this morning, and then a high tide tonight at 11:50. Pretty good tide today, but really excellent tides the rest of this week. Some really good tidal fishing. We're looking at the wind. It's going to be out of east-northeast about 7 to 8. We're going to take our break and be right back with our guest. Welcome back, and welcome to a very familiar face here on Panhandle Outdoors. You know him, Stan Kirkland.
Hey, Winston, good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. We talk a lot about it. Try to get him to come on the show. Sometimes he's out of town and doing all kinds of stuff. But I pinned him down to come on today. Sort of wrap up the year, and tell the folks what you've been up to.
Well, been trying to do a little fishing. I have to admit I haven't fished since Thanksgiving, but I did. The water temperature has been so warm. The fish, particularly trout, and I love to wade fish. They haven't even left the flats. Now they will with this cold weather. They will, but. I had caught some nice fish actually in Lynn Haven in a little bow off the
secret spot.
Yeah, well, I don't know how secret it is, but there was some nice people that were out of town. But they would, if they'd been in town, they would have let me fish. But they told me to come on and just enjoy myself, and it was really, really nice. And then I've done some hunting. I prefer to hunt with a muzzle loader. People don't understand that, but I've got a 308 rifle. I've got all this stuff. But anyway, I just love hunting with a muzzle loader, and I killed 2 does with my muzzle loader over in, actually I was hunting over in near Crawfordville. My brother-in-law's got a farm, and so on 2 successive days, I killed real nice does, real fat does, big fat does, and he had a lot of deer, and he wanted some of them, and so I waited till the either sex season was in and went over there, and anyway, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. I think coming up is what you got to do now when you kill deer. But anyway, so that was good, and I enjoyed that.
You've been hunting and fishing.
I've been and trying then to go see my mom. My mom lives up in Jackson County, just on the edge of Sneed. She'll be 96 in January.
96. So. Isn't that amazing? Doing good. Wow.
Yeah, we did a little cleanup there in her yard, and we've got deer coming in now in her yard, and we feed them. And I told Mom last year, I said, Mom, you've made it easy for Christmas. And she said, what do you mean? I said, we're going to give you a shooting house and a crossbow. She said, I'm not studying. But anyway, so it's real nice. But we enjoy feeding them there behind the house, and they come in. I've got a picture with 4 bucks standing in her yard.
That's something.
And it's just amazing. And and
we talked about that before, how deer can adapt to neighborhoods as long as the food and all there. And I know all your life you've seen that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they do. You're exactly right. It doesn't matter where you are; they will adapt. And this is pretty much a non-hunted population of deer, and they come in, and but they're pretty cool to watch.
Has it amazed you over the years? I've mentioned this several times. The other day I was the state record buck that was taken in 1977 is still the state record, and I think you helped measure that way back.
Larry Furr.
Yeah, and I tell people the story. In fact, up there, I don't know if you saw the show last. I don't think I even showed a video. I took a picture of exactly where that deer was taken in West Gaston County.
Right.
And we had the farm. I was at the farm of the.
Is that right?
Yeah, the Clark family. And we did some sugarcane grinding and all that.
Well, they allowed him to hunt on that farm.
Yeah, he was with one of the Clark guys.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
You got a good memory.
That's just etched in my memory because, and you know, all the state organizations and all, a state record doesn't usually last that long. It really doesn't, and because I've looked at the Georgias and Alabamas, they've been new ones and all. Every few years they get new state records.
Well, that deer is unique, and the thing about it is it's got 7 points on each side, and it's a big wide rack. And you see a lot of deer that have tines, but usually they're either mismatched, they're not symmetrical from side to side. And that's what helps this particular deer score so well, is it is so symmetrical from side to side. And you know, there were critics at the time that said, "Well, he didn't kill that deer here; he killed it somewhere else." He didn't. But
I know when it happened, I know who he's with. And
I know, and after, and I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying there were critics that said, you know, and always will be. Yeah. And I was satisfied, and it's just an incredible deer. I think it scored 168 and an eighth.
That's exactly. You got a good memory yourself.
Well, it was a phenomenal deer. Did you know he lost a coon dog? He's dead now.
He passed away.
He passed away. Yeah. But about 12 to 15 years ago, he was hunting in that area and lost a coon dog, and it had a collar with his name on it. All right, that was up in that general area. You know where his dog was found? His dog was found in Mexico Beach.
No way. It went from Gaston County down to Mexico.
I don't know how the dog got to Mexico Beach.
Wow.
But I don't know if somebody picked his dog up and took it down there, or if the dog literally ran and you know, and over time just ended up there, lost or whatever. Wow. But somebody called him. They had found his dog. They called him, and he went and picked up his dog.
Oh, great
sure
story.
Did. Yeah.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, well, welcome back. See, I'm Stan Kirkland. You know, when I have Stan on, my sheet's blank. I don't plan anything. We just talk. And we run out of time. But to wrap up the story, you're talking about Larry Furr, and I told you about our relationship. One quick story, and at the funeral, we had a graveside service. It was in Rock Bluff, which is a big bluff looking over Apalachicola River. And the family's been there for generations, and we all, as family do, we all went to the house, okay, and had you know, the church brings all kind of food out, you know, tables in the yard, so you can picture that in the country and all, and folks were there, cousins and all, and we're sitting there talking and Larry's daughter went into the house from the front porch and walked in the house. She came out, and Larry's pride and joy was that deer mount. That was his pride. That was his, you know, lifetime achievement as far as doing something physical. So the daughter walked out on the porch with that mount and hung it up on a nail on the porch like that. There wasn't a tear. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. I mean, because people, it was one of those moments where it just hit. You know, this man's legacy, and what a great accomplishment. So it was just a special time.
Did you know that right after Larry killed that deer, he was almost killed in an accident? I don't know if you know this. Yeah. He was camping, and he had a propane tank to discharge, and it was the old style of propane tanks, a small tank. And it was hot, and they were camping at Lake Talquin. And he stood over the tank, and he had a grill nearby. And as he went to light the grill, the tank, due to the heat and everything, was probably overfilled. It discharged propane, and it wet him in propane as this wouldn't happen again in 1,000 years. But right as he lit the grill, the tank discharged and wet him with propane, and he was just engulfed in fire from his knees to his head, and he spent 30 days in Tallahassee Regional Medical Center trying to recover from that. It almost killed him.
And his career was in the propane gas industry, like he knew better, but it's just one of those accident things. And our relationship with his mom and my mom were sisters. That's how I knew.
Wow.
And so when that happened, we got a lot of prayers and all from a lot of folks.
And I'll tell you this one other thing about Larry. I can remember when he killed that deer, we had one person in the state of Florida that could score his deer, because it was a guy named Dave Swindoll.
Okay.
And Dave worked for Game and Fish. And the thing I always loved about Dave is Dave smoked a pipe, and he would exhale a lot of times, and his the burning embers from that pipe would end up on his shirt, and I think every shirt he had looked like he'd been shot with birdshot. There were holes all in his shirts. But he called me one day and asked me, he said, "Stan, I've got a deer. It's so big." He said, "You're now certified." I said, "I am." And he said, "Well, you go and score this deer." So that's what led me to go over there. He had looked at it, but he said,
Okay,
"This is bigger than I want to fool with."
Okay,
and,
so but you were the initial. I thought both of y'all scored it, or we all scored together?
Well, no, he looked at it, but then he told me, he said, you need to come and score.
So it was your score that did it then?
Yeah.
Okay, I always thought you were the backup score, but you had an initial score.
Well,
And I know several people looked at it.
They did. And I took a guy with me and got him to help me. But
cool.
it was an incredible rack. And
cool.
It's never been matched for a typical rack in Florida.
Okay, all right, we can talk about that hunting kind of stuff all day. Let's jump into to fishing and boat ramps. You talked about tell about this.
Winston, I wanted to mention, if you fish or live anywhere in the West Bay area, it's really a shame what's happened with the county ramp there at West Bay. It's called the B.V. Buchanan Boat Ramp. Most people just know it as the county ramp, but it's the Buchanan Boat Ramp. But what's happening is there's a business now, a rock business, where people, a company of some, anyway, they're unloading rock on the north side of the Intercoastal Waterway there at the Highway 79 bridge. And if the tugs pushing these barges of big rock would come in there and put them next to the bank, it'd be one thing, but they're not. They're turning the barges perpendicular to the land and then pushing the whole time. These tugs are pushing the whole time that these barges are being unloaded. Well, the tugs are out in the middle of the Intercoastal Waterway, and so they're pushing all this water and silt. Everything is going south toward the county ramp, toward Boondocks,
really?
Toward, there's another lady that's got a place there just on the west side of the county. I was over a few weeks ago trying to use that ramp, and my brother's got a nice boat. It's a $60,000 boat. We didn't even have enough water to use the boat. We had 1 foot of water, and used to be you had 5 feet of water, but all of that area. We then went over to Boondocks, and Boondocks is the same way. It was high tide. It's amazing. So what I did is I've gotten in touch with Commissioner Dozier. I've talked to Bill Dozier. I've texted Bob Micah, the county manager. He's aware, and also Commissioner Doug Moore. Doug represents that area, the West Bay area. But if you like using that ramp, you need to talk to your county commission and let them intercede for us, the people that want to be able to use a ramp. It's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars to correct what's been done, and the only way to correct it is to go in there and dredge.
Wow. And well, the company doing that should pay for every bit of that.
It is a mess.
Our county taxpayers, and I'm so glad you were able to get a hold of county commissioner. I did not know about that, how bad it was. I know over in Southport at McKenzie ramp how bad it is. We talked about that. I didn't realize the West Bay ramp.
Well, And I have every confidence after talking to the commission that they will get things turned around. But one of the FWC officers told me that it's still going on. He just went by there. I talked to him yesterday, and he said, or day before yesterday, and he said that he had just been by there a day or two prior to that, and he said the tug was pushing a barge, and they were unloading it, and so it's an ongoing thing.
You know as well as I do, if we as sportsmen and outdoorsmen don't band together and stick together
and don't say something,
then they'll run over us. And they'll take advantage of us. They don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, and you know, nobody's against a private enterprise or a business, but you can't operate that business and then destroy something else in the process, and that's what's being done. That's what's being done. So anyway, but
glad you told us about
hopefully that'll.
I'm gonna run up there during before long and take a look at it.
Well, you
take my camera.
When you get out in the water with a boat, actually it's so bad, people now, the officers told me, people now that are trying to launch are going to the north side where there's no ramp and using four-wheel drives and trying to dump boats off into the intercoastal waterway, and they're creating ruts and silt and stuff's washing in the waterway. And they don't want that, but you know, no.
Right up under the bridge over there by Boondocks, you can't get in right there?
Oh yeah, you can get in. Well, I mean, you can drive in fine, but to try to pull a boat in, you've only got about this much water at high tide. At low tide, it's worse than that.
Wow. We're going to take our final break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Sitting here with a very familiar face, who co-hosts a lot, helps us out all throughout the time we've been doing the show, Stan Kirkland. But before we get back to Stan, let's take a look at our fishing game times today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. Run by and get your last-minute Christmas outdoor gifts there. Let's see, 7:06 to 9:06 this morning, and tonight, 7:31 to 9:31. And let's go, we've been fishing, let's see, hunting, fishing, and now let's get back to hunting and all. You want to say some words about that?
Well, within the last, I think, either 2 or 3 years, Fish and Wildlife came up with a system where you have to report your deer. And it's required. It's not you want to, it's required.
Wow.
And Florida is one of, let me say this up front, Florida's one of the last states to go to this. Most states already have this system where you report your deer. But you can either go on, you can call the agency. They've got a number that you can call, and you basically create an account where you register your deer, and you can get you can download a paper. You can carry, if you don't like using a computer, you can carry a piece of paper with you. When you kill your deer, you write down on there, killed a buck this day, doe, whatever, and then you got 24 hours to report it. Or you can go to the, if you're tech savvy, you can go use your cell phone. You can go to the app store on your phone, download the app, the Florida Fish and Wildlife app, and then it's got a harvest report. You create your own account on there. It takes just a couple of minutes to do this. And so, like when I was hunting the other day, I'm not a techie person, believe me, my kids will tell you that. But I had my phone, I had my, so when I killed the first deer, I was able to go in, brought up the app with it said harvest report. I put in there, it was a doe I had killed with my muzzleloader. I put in there, it asked you what you shot, what zone you're in. I told them what zone I was in. Then, what you killed, what kind of firearm you used. I was using a muzzleloader. And
if Stan can do it now, that's
if I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's right.
And my kids will tell you that. But hey, it took 30 seconds.
Good.
And then you hit submit, and then you get a confirmation number. But the thing I wanted to stress was all these deer processors now that are handling deer are required to get your confirmation number. When you take your deer to them, you've got to have that. Yeah. And they're not allowed legally to accept that.
And we've talked about it several times on the show, but we wanted you to hear from Stan because Stan's going through it, and he's of our generation who've always, we're not quite tech savvy like you said.
Nope, I'm far from tech savvy.
Well, we got about a minute or two left. Show your mug here. We got both our.
Oh yeah, yep.
These are
This is
outdoor mugs.
Yeah, let me move it over here. There we go. All right, yeah.
You brought it this morning.
Yeah.
All right.
You gave me this mug, I think, a year ago, and I've taken good care of it.
You have. Don't lose it all.
Oh no, I appreciate it.
You got a big Christmas and all planned?
Oh yeah, we've got our family's going to be together. Our daughter's expecting Sarah, as she and her husband Jamie expecting their first baby, and so we and our son's going to get home. He's a cardiac doctor out in pediatric cardiologist out in Utah, so he's going to get home.
We don't have time to go into detail, but he went to where overseas? He went real quick.
He went to Gaza recently with a group, and they did surgery on 11 children from 6 months of age up to 11 years, and they were there for 11 days, and it was no easy task to go into Gaza, but.
If we could get a chance, I'd love to talk to him about that and share that, because I know that was some kind of experience.
Yeah, that was. It was an incredible experience for him.
He's doing a lot of good things out there.
Yeah.
And Sarah, one of our former outdoor ed club
Sarah
presidents,
and Brandon both were in your outdoor class.
Yep. They had a little edge, being their dad being fishing wildlife, but they were gung-ho about it. They were really good. Well, Stan,
thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Winston, thank you.
Wishing you a Merry Christmas.
All right. Thank you, Winston. I appreciate it. The best to you and Gail.
Okay. Thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. We appreciate the viewership. Do something good for someone else today, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.